Well, Chris Doyle joins us from London. Chris, you're a commentator on Middle East affairs, also the director of the Council for Arab-British Understanding. Iran seems to be finessing its strategy around the Strait of Hormuz. In the first instance, when the war started, the strait was closed for everyone, all tankers going to all countries. Now we're learning that Iran has guided an Indian tanker through the strait. They're inviting Japan to go through. South Korea says it's talking or will talk with Iran to be able to go and get its energy in the Middle East and in Gulf countries. Your thoughts on this Strait of Hormuz selective closure?
This is Iran trying to use diplomacy to isolate the United States, to further isolate Israel and anybody, any party that supports them. So by negotiating that transit through the Strait of Hormuz, where 20% of the world's oil and gas goes through on a normal given day, Iran is playing every card that it can to try to win out into this attritional struggle. Against that, we see from the United States, from the Trump administration, a very strange series of contradictory statements demanding that these other countries, including Japan and Britain and NATO allies, open the Straits of Hormuz, that they get involved. And President Trump has posted on Truth Social that he says this would be easy, safe to do. If it was like that, then of course the United States would have been able to do it very comfortably on its own. But obviously he wants to get other countries heavily involved, and this is the risk. So Iran is attempting essentially to undermine the chances of the United States building up some sort of coalition to keep the strait open and to make sure that the Trump administration, as I said, is isolated.
Chris, can Donald Trump end the war, do you think, without the Strait of Hormuz being reopened?
Donald Trump creates his own reality every single day, so he can announce tomorrow that the United States is stopping, ending, suspending all military action against Iran and say that he has won. He will argue that, for example, the nuclear issue has been dealt with, they've been obliterated again, that its capabilities have been downgraded. I mean, he has said for weeks now that actually the war was already won. So he could do that. It wouldn't have any credibility, of course, to the wider world because the Strait of Hormuz wouldn't be open. There would be no guarantee that there would be no more missile, drone strikes against neighboring states like Qatar, like the Emirates. So it would not even convince the skeptics within his own country. He needs an off-ramp, and I think he is looking for it. And in some way, maybe the strikes on Natanz today is about creating a story, a narrative that the United States has been able to degrade Iran sufficiently to end its military activity. Israel, of course, will have a slightly different agenda, well, quite a different agenda, in fact, because the last thing that Prime Minister Netanyahu will want is a semi-wounded Iran that can rebuild its missile capacities and return as a threat in future. So I don't think you're going to find the Israeli leadership urging Trump to down tools. It's going to be because of domestic pressures, economic pressures, that he might pull back. Who knows?
I follow what you're telling us, Chris, on Israel's point of view here. They don't want a wounded Iran that is able to rebuild. But how can they guarantee that Iran can't rebuild? It's a vast country, population of 90 million. And on the Israeli side, they say they've already hit upwards of, I think, 7,000 targets and have many more to hit. But that doesn't change the fact that unless they go in and, occupy the country, which they can't do and won't do, Iran over time will get back on its feet in some way, shape, or form.
I quite agree. The whole strategy, as so far as we know it, doesn't make any sense. It's not coherent. It, I think, was presupposed on the idea that the Iranian regime was going to fall away, fall apart, and disappear, and that you could insert some new pro-American, pro-Israeli government within Iran who would never become a threat, who would never develop these programs. But it just does not work out like that. Bombing from air doesn't produce the sort of changes you desire. Even now, if the regime was to fragment, which is possible, It's been pummeled from air, no doubt about it. It's not going to transition into some wonderful, secure government in Iran. Far from it. It's more likely to be utter chaos and very dangerous at that. So both for the United States and Israel, their even cigarette paper-thin strategy is being ripped up in front of them because they are not able to achieve anything like the sort of goals they might have dreamt of.
Chris Doyle, Director of the Council for Arab-British Understanding. Thank you very much, Chris.